twilight lies gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Freedom Network. I am Gary Rosenberg, your host. Very glad that you decided to join us once again right here on the Freedom Network. Rolling shows right along. I mean, we've done, I don't know how many now here in Northbridge, but let me tell you, we've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed doing them here in this studio. We've had some great guests. We have a great guest for you today as well. We got emails to go over. We've got presidential politics to talk about. I want to talk about charter a little bit. We'll talk about our local results, national results. There's so much going on that we can't possibly pack it all into the next 55 or 50 minutes, but we will do our best to move fast. As always, your comments, welcome. Get them on the email right here on the computer, and also certainly call-in number right on your screen is there for you. So what I want to do is just kind of run through real quick. You guys know the email game. I answer them all. It can take me a few days sometimes when you pepper me with 20 and 30 emails. It takes me a minute to get back to you, but I answer every one. If you want to join any of our groups on Facebook, send me an email. I'll send you the link. I find that the absolute easiest way to address that. Tonight, we'll have Matt O'Brien with us from the Worcester Tea Party. We're going to dissect all the election results. We're going to hopefully get some of your opinions, but also we'll drag him into other conversations as well as we can. First, a couple of emails I just want to quickly touch on. Charter in a few minutes. We had a hearing this past Monday, so we can talk about that a little bit, and then we'll get right on into the election. So Samuel emails in. Samuel, thanks for emailing. Says, Gary, thanks for speaking at the hearing, and thanks for other people that got up and spoke. Also, we have some great advocates for our town. We really, you know what, you really do have some good advocates for your town. Far beyond the guy sitting in this chair right now. There's a lot of great people in Northbridge on all sides of the issues that are passionate, that get out there, that get involved, and that's great. That's what makes for a good political town, if you will. That's why these political shows are so successful here in Northbridge. In other towns, they may not be. But you guys certainly like your politics, and we like that here at the Freedom Network. Robert checks in. Robert, a very frequent emailer. Let's see. Gary, love your position on the Second Amendment. You're correct. This is not a states' rights issue. It is a federal right that states should not have the power over. Never thought of it that way, but I heard you talk about it. Funny how that works. See, folks, this is what I've been saying, and I start to say it, and people get upset with me, and they say, what do you mean it's not a states' rights issue? You know what? Is your right to vote a states' right issue? Is freedom of speech a states' right issue? No, they're not states' rights issues. They're guaranteed rights. You have rights guaranteed to you by the federal government. It clearly says that what the federal government has for laws, rules, regulations, what have you, will supersede what the states have. The states can't change the Constitution. The Constitution says the people have the right to keep and bear arms, okay? That's what it says in the Second Amendment. That's what's there. That's the law of the land. The police chief in Boise, Idaho, has no right to decide if Boise, Idaho is going to be allowed to be a place where the Second Amendment can actually be applicable. So when we're fortunate, we live in a town. I say this all the time. We have a great police department in town. We have a police chief that respects rights of everybody, and they do a great job. That's not the case everywhere. There are towns that you cannot get a permit because they just don't give them. So when I say it's not a states' rights issue, I don't mean it's the guns are not your right to have. And I got a ton of emails on it. I just wanted to clarify. What I mean when I say that, and I stand by it, is that the state of Massachusetts, any city or town within it, has no right to decide which pieces of the Constitution can be applicable in said town or said city. That's how I feel about it. If you disagree, it's fine. Call me, email me. We can yell about it and talk about it. I am this close to getting our gun expert on. I do have a trainer from the NRA that will come on, and I'm going to try to get him to bring some cool-looking guns for us. The big scary guns, we're going to try to see about that. Everybody will be freaked out around here. We did a show like that down in Stoughton. It was fantastic, and we're going to do it up here. And you know what it is? You got to get people to Northbridge. When you're from 45, 50 miles away, it's tough to get them up here. All right, let's see. One more. Jason and Marie. This is a couple that watch the program. Hi, Gary. We love the show. While we voted for Obama one time, we were not fooled again. We went from the left to the right. Why? Simple. We started to listen and we stopped talking. We started to think instead of being told what to think. You're great. I love that you talk about them all because they all have things to call out, and anyone blindly following like we used to do really does need to wake up. You know what? Well said. They really don't have much to add to that. You gotta wake up, as they say. You gotta wake up. And, Jason, Marie, great to have you out there. Haven't had a lot of emails from you, but I hope that we have more. I think you used to email me defending Obama, though. I do think you used to do that, and that's okay. But I'm glad that you've awoken to the level of what that is coming out of that White House. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a very short break. We're going to talk about charter after it. We'll get Matt in here. I want to get his opinion on the charter situation as well. We'll pick his brain on that, politics, and I'll get you to meet and introduce and know who we have. You know what? To be honest with you, we've had a great run with some great guests over the past few weeks. We'll keep trying to get them and bring them in. And please know, all the local politicians, love me or hate me, you're all welcome right in the seat next to me. I don't bite hard. No, I don't bite, but you're more than welcome. We don't have to agree. You can come on and tell me why I'm so wrong about everything. I'd love to have the discourse. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and I mean a quick one. Watch something that's pretty funny. When we come back, I'll be sitting right here with Matt O'Brien.
I don't know that there's any advantage any longer to being in the low numbers.
Unbelievable. I don't know of any advantage to having a low number, Mr. Cohen said. Your loyal viewers will find you. Really, Mr. Cohen? Really? They're just going to find us? How do you propose they're going to do that? How do you think that's going to happen, genius? I'm not one to bash corporations, right, as evil because of their mere existence. What makes them awful and wrong is when they behave stupidly, say stupid things, and generally just don't give a darn about the people that they serve. This is your television station, folks.
I understand that I personally probably messed up here in terms of the license that we have with the town of Northbridge.
This is your television station, folks. It ain't mine. It's not the guy sitting in that booth, and in all honesty, it ain't the guy sitting in the manager's office. You pay for it out of your cable bill, and that's what makes this happen, all right? You also pay the company to provide you a service. They also have a contract that says these are the stations. So here's what I think, okay, Mr. Cohen, all right? You should move them back until you can get in front of a judge that will tell you that you can break your contract. Mr. Cohen is in full charge. He's in full control of this whole situation. Don't you worry about it, folks, because on channels 11, 12, and 13 now, you can find QVC on 11, a Spanish station on 12, and an NFL advertisement on 13. Far more important than your local government, than your local access cable, and than you being able to find out what's going on in your town and participate in the process.
So that, you may have raised some issues that I missed. If I missed some, I'd be happy, remind me. And I personally probably messed up here.
Welcome back to the Freedom Network, everybody. That's funny. Great job that we do here at Old NCTV. What used to be 11. Let me welcome Mr. Matt. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Fantastic. Matt is the president of the Worcester Tea Party. He has taken some of his busy schedule, put it aside, and said, "Let me go talk to the Freedom Network. Let's see what's happening." And we're always talking about politics here. So we're really happy to have you. I've been to several of the events, or a couple of the events that you folks have in Worcester.
Yeah.
At the Canal.
At the canal.
The Canal.
65 Water Street.
Great place, by the way. Good food in there. We had. I was there with the wife, and we had a meal and all. It was really good. You guys have a really unique group, and such a diverse group.
Yes.
Of people. When you look at the people, and they got a good sized room, and they fill this room up with a whole bunch of people, and everybody's there's speakers and there's different things going on. And when you look back at the group, and I was fortunate enough once to actually go up and speak to everybody.
The famous open mic night.
The famous open mic night. That's right. When I was looking out at the crowd, I said to myself, how do people say that the Tea Party isn't inclusive, it isn't diverse, it isn't? I mean, that was a more diverse crowd than I've seen at any Democrat gathering. Let me tell you.
Sure.
I mean, anyway, we're super glad that you came in, and we want to get to presidential politics and the races and all the delegates and all that kind of stuff. And I want to talk to you about. I know that the Tea Party is going cruise.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay, right? That's what it is. Wasn't my first choice, but that's all right. We'll get into that. We'll find out why. Before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about charter. All right. Let's just remember that we had a hearing on Monday. And the thing, I'll give you a quick synopsis, all right? People, I'll give this in a nutshell, because everybody watching, I think, has lived this saga with me, but I want to get you up to speed real quick. They moved the stations, which was absolutely a violation of the contract. The service is disgusting, okay, in the town. As a matter of fact, the stations are switching on, they're switching off. Just arbitrarily, people are losing sound, we learned, and whatnot. And then the other thing they did is they moved away the convenient place that was right in Grafton, which allowed people to go to switch cable boxes out, pay your bill if you needed to, and so on. So we went through the hearing, and we know that we learned, and we know that it's not really a violation of their contract to move out of the town. They stated at the hearing they can't have an office in every town. And they cited things like, Sprint or Verizon or something like that, was what Mr. Cohan, I think, was talking about. But I think that, it's interesting. They did write an article about it. I think this was in the Telegram, about the concerns of quality and all that kind of stuff. Now, Mr. Cohan is the Director of Governmental Affairs at Charter Communications in Worcester. So what's going to happen now is basically we're going to move forward, right? That's what's going to happen, is we're going to move forward. But my issue, and this is what's interesting, they forced the change of the stations, okay? I'm going to say that 110 times because it's in writing and it was in a contract, and they just did that. So, he said at the hearing that Charter had offered, but they made an offer, but it was rejected. Well, let me tell you what the offer was, okay? The offer was $30,000, okay, which is a fair sum of money, to NCTV. They wanted to break that $30,000 up over 8 years, and it was rejected at NCTV. The proposal was because, you want to know why? Matt, this is amazing, because they were going to put an increase into the bills of the Northbridge customers to pay for this settlement. We didn't do anything wrong, so why am I paying?
So basically, Charter volunteered to put a surcharge on the cable viewers of Northbridge to pay for their mistake.
This is how I see it. Yes, this is the information that I've been able to get from trying to be an investigator, put my reporter hat on, and digging and trying to piece this together. you know, Charter Communications, Michael D. Henry, quote, in response to the complaint, further review indicates that Charter does not have a contractual relationship with Northbridge Community Access TV. Well, that's, again, not really true, first of all. First of all, it certainly speaks volumes to the fact that they don't care about your local television. And I'm going to tell you something. Your local television is very important, okay? This show has been, I've been on radio. I've sold radio time to support my own programs. I've been around the game, if you will. This I do as a passion because I love politics and I want to get the message out there to as many people as I possibly can. I don't do this for money. It would be nice, but but at the end of the day, you do have a contractual relationship with community TV because you have to provide it, and you have to provide it. So that's just a baloney kind of a thing to say. The fact that the actual cable license violation, forcing the channel changes, it was swept under the rug. It seems to be anyway by the town. I will tell you, and I can't remember who said it at that meeting, but when they talked about the violation of moving the thing, you know what they said to him, right? And the guy says, Mr. Cohan says, we did an exhaustive search with our, people, real estate people, to find the best place to do this, and the best place to move it was to this location in Worcester. Now, it's not terribly, terribly far away, okay? We got to be realistic. But it's a definite issue for our elderly community who used to like to go to pay their bill there. Now they got to go get a money order and go to Vera's Market or wherever it is and send that in. That's going to cost money. And you know what? I'm sick of people. I don't like the it's only a cup of coffee a day analogy.
Oh yeah, that's over.
Because you know what? It's someone else's money. It's not Charter's money to deal with. So they've increased that cost on umpteen customers that are going to have to do that now. But why we didn't have, where is the lawyer in town that says, gee, I think I could make money on this because a contract was broken. They violated the contract. They made an offer at $30,000. Well, that's like getting a job. Do you take the first offer that they give you on a job? No. Why would you? Right? You know that you're going to be able to get more. If they want you for 80 grand, you can probably grab 85 or 90 grand, maybe even 100 grand out of them. So, NCTV works with nonprofits all over in the area. This is a good community-based place. This is not a place that is run by the town. It's run by the station. It's run by the committee, which is how the local access should be. They work with the Girl Scouts, all the Scouts, and they work with the churches that are all over the place. And they even work with some in Uxbridge, and they work with some, obviously most here in town. They work with the Northbridge Public Schools. They work with the Board of Selectmen. They work with the library. They work with the Historical Society. These are things that this station does, and people and groups that they are involved with, that they help. They help and do things with the fuel assistance. When I share on Facebook all the time, and you see how it says for a while the banner was that fuel assistance thing, right? This is what they do. They Alzheimer's and you name it, the Ecotarium, the all of that kind of stuff. Why does a majority of selectmen not seem to see an issue and not want to really call these guys to task? And they did, and I cannot think of his name. It's just escaping me. But he said, they were talking about this exhaustive real estate search they did, and he challenged, and he said, is that available? Yeah. And Mr. Cohan says, well, we're not going to go down that road, are we? Well, hell yeah, we're going to go down that road. You broke the law, So it just, as you can see, I get pretty fired up about it because it's an important issue. What dealings have you had with you don't have Charter where you live, right?
No. We're Comcast, but right. I know plenty of people in the Worcester area who've had similar dealings with Charter. It is unfortunate, but it is the stereotypical big company that does not care about its customers because it has you locked in. Yeah. You're not able to easily choose, like Coke or Pepsi. I'll get a Coke, I'll get a Pepsi, I'll get Charter, I'll get Comcast, I'll get Fios. It's a real process to make these changes and a real inconvenience. So they feel they have you by the short hairs, and they take you for granted. And this is also a problem because it goes hand in hand with local government. Local government is supposed to be looking out for you to level this playing field, and they're not.
That's right. No, and and I think that the efforts were there. It seemed to me like there was a few people on that board that really impressed me, and I'm the first one to come running out and say that they're doing a terrible job. And I got to be the first one to come out and say, you know what, there were people that they were really made an effort. And when he asked that question, and Mr. Cohan was just almost insulted that someone would challenge him in that way. And they came with you can see the big wigs that they've got, and they had pictures of the new facility. And to me, it just the being there drove me absolutely bonkers and out of control. But we got a lot of public statements. People were passionate. They spoke at the meeting. It was intimidating for people, I think, because the way that it was set up was a table much like this, and you've got Mr. Cohan, and you've got the chairman of our cable board, Harry, who's on next, was sitting to his right. And the empty seat was right next to Mr. Cohan, and right behind you, right about here, say, were the 3 charter people. So to see the people in town get up there, right? Now I got up there and said something, but what's the big deal, right? I'm always talking in front of people, whether it's at my job or whether it's here with you folks. But to see people that maybe don't do that often, talking about the open mic night, right?
Exactly.
The way that I was so proud of the town. It was great to see.
And really, that is one of the keys that we need to encourage in our friends and neighbors, is stand up for yourself. Stand up, whether it's a government agency, whether it's a big company, whether it's a hospital. We've seen these stories at the service providers of every type. You've got to learn to stand up for yourself. You're the only person who can do it.
Absolutely. So as Charter was saying, they don't know about the complaints. They have no complaints from people. They were going back, and he must have said that a couple of times, and it made sense. And you'd say to yourself, well, gee, I guess if they just complain to Harry, and Harry, can't get the message in a timely fashion to them, I don't believe that. Harry is definitely a dedicated guy. I don't think that he wouldn't forward the messages. Absolutely, you should call yourselves. But I read this article in the Telegram, and then I think it was in the Telegram, yeah. And then I started to read the comments. So the comments come in. Guess my comment was removed earlier. This is from one of the guys, stating that we have the same issues going on in Spencer, Mass. You want to get them going, file complaints with the FCC. They oversee the customer service at these companies. Well, maybe this guy has called the FCC. It seems like he's got some experience with it. Judy chimes in. Webster has the exact same problem, and commercials take more time than the shows themselves. What are we paying for? Right, that's very true. Barry, who I'll name him. Barry, I don't know where Barry is. He's usually called me by now. But he says, in my opinion, I was potentially waiting for someone from the town's Disability Commission to champion the cause for the town's disabled, shut-ins, and challenged elder seniors at this, and he kind of goes on a little bit. But he puts it all right out there. Viewing the meeting on Northbridge Channel 192, I did not notice anyone from the town's Disability Commission. Maybe they sent an excellent worded letter, and he kind of goes on and on. Another one. Actually, I thought Uxbridge was the only place where the TV screen goes blank for a few seconds. I always say, please subscribe, and then it comes back on. I will file a complaint today. And someone else happens to me in Worcester. And they go on. So now you really think, Mr. Cohan, I don't know that you watch my program. You probably don't, but if you do, really? You think that we're going to sit here and believe that nobody's complained? You have no idea. I mean, everything's great. Everything's great in Charter. We don't have any problems. Yay! Give me a break. All right. Beat that dead horse, I think, to death. I think it's died. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, local activists, I'm not 100% sure. I had been talking with Elizabeth from ABN. I know she's trying to do something with a warrant. She's got something going on. You're more than welcome to call if you want to, Elizabeth, but you're also more than welcome to meet. If you guys want to meet, you can certainly meet here. That's fine. What do we got? We got a call come? We got a call come. Let's jump on here and see who we have. Good evening. You are on the Freedom Network. How are you? You there?
Good evening, Gary.
There you are.
Hey, I heard you were looking for me.
I'm looking for you, man. I'm looking for you.
Hey, I'd like to appreciate your guests for coming in, and also on the cable, Gary. Again, I'd like to take my hats off to everybody that testified, just as you mentioned, and hopefully the town will have a plan when the cable company comes back in 60 days, and if they give us the old sidestep shuffle, and don't respond or any offsets or anything relative to what we requested, hopefully the town has a plan, whether it entails bringing in the town council to refer it to the Attorney General or the FCC to hopefully encourage Charter to come around and come up to the plate. I mean, if Charter had $55 billion to buy Time Warner Cable, they surely can have the money to help out with the people at Northbridge and get a better quality type system. Maybe they should have only paid $40 billion for the Time Warner Cable, and they would have had that extra money to help get these things corrected. But hopefully, the town manager will get a plan in place, and like I said, this is a hot button issue, and I'm sure the taxpayers are going to keep a good watch and good eye on what develops, and we know you'll be also championing our cause out there, Gary.
You bet, bud. Thank you very much.
Thank
Well
you,
said.
And I appreciate the guests coming in.
Absolutely. We do
Pleasure's
too. Thanks a lot. See, we call our people out by name. You don't call, we're going to call you. This is going to be a new kind of show. We're going to start calling residents.
Yeah,
and say,
Steve, you haven't called. You need to call.
That's right, Steve. Pick up the phone and call us in. So lots of voting went on yesterday. Here in town, we had a robust amount of people for our Republican Town Committee. The Republican Town Committee will have about, I guess, 20 or 23 people, I think, on it.
That's exceptional.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that's and I don't know a ton about this. I'm not, I don't, all right, I'm wading into these waters. What I understand, the top vote getter, which was Harry, congratulations, Harry, is now, I guess, the acting chair of this committee. And what he'll do is set up a meeting, and then we will take a formal vote on leadership and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to congratulate Harry. He got I had it here somewhere. He's got 1,000, he got almost 1,200 votes. Okay. I was on there. I'm going to tell you something, folks. I didn't ask. I didn't say a word. I didn't say anything about it. I just wanted to see, what would happen. 815 bubbles were filled in with next to my name, and I thank you all very much for that. It wasn't the most, but it was okay. It was a solid showing, and I got to tell you, I thank you. What does all of this mean? Folks, I'm going to learn it with you, but I will tell you one thing. That the 850 people that put a bubble next to that name, that means something to me. So when we make decisions, when we do things, whatever those things are going to be, and as we go through and learn about this process, we will learn about it on this program. And when we go through it, it will be with you in mind, because I've not waded into political elected type of thing. And I've been asked several times, actually, even in this town, maybe to run for selectman, something like that. Not, my first desire. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not really what
no.
I really don't. It's not.
It
my,
does take a special person.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of that sleeping with the enemy theory.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was it's good. It's humbling, and thanks for everybody that went out and voted. We had thousands and thousands of people come out to vote in our small town, which was nice to see. Now, let's get to it. The Tea Party's out there. They've endorsed Cruz.
Well, I do want to make sure I
Yeah.
say this clearly because, of
Go ahead.
course, we are a 501c3 non-taxed organization, and we do not officially endorse any campaign. We have a variety of members, and I can report that the majority of our members do personally endorse Cruz because he has taken many important constitutionally perfect stances.
He really has.
Now, that is not to slight the fact that I also know members that are passionate for Rand Paul. I know members I remember several members who were explaining to me how we had to reconstitute ourselves so that we could endorse Governor Walker, Scott Walker, when in the early days.
Yeah, that's
There are people who respect Dr. Carlson. He performed at the Hanover Street Playhouse in Worcester, and there were several people who saw him in person and were swept away by him. But that being said, generally, we're more interested in issues than in politicians, very much because of what you said. We are focused on what is the perfect solution, and then how do we implement that? as opposed to who's the perfect leader and how do we get him in office.
You know, and you know what? I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, you got to go after, and I always tell people, as I now sit on the town Republican committee, parties are meaningless. Okay, at the end of the day, it's the people that you really have to look at.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's what you got to look at. So we were talking a little bit, you know, off camera about the Democrat primary and these people flocking for Hillary. I cannot understand for my life, and I'm very proud of our town, because if I look on my little paper here with my eyes that can barely work, it looks to me as though Bernie Sanders just kind of beat her out by almost a couple of hundred votes in our town anyway. There were more Republicans that voted than there were Democrats. We are a red town, let's face it. That's how our votes seem to go. But
But they tried to confuse you by giving you guys blue ballots, right? So I love that. Who decided that?
the whole process of voting is something I know, and the committees definitely have there's some input that they have there. And I know from talking to someone in another town that's on one of the committees. It makes absolutely positively no sense to me. The other thing is, why are there two ballots? Why? I mean, this is America, right? Why can't I go and I get a ballot and everybody's on it?
Oh, well.
Why?
Because technically primaries are not general elections, and primaries are held by the locality to ensure the honesty of the party. That's the difference between primaries and caucuses. Caucuses are me and all my friends in the Republican Party, let's say, get together and we have a couple of beers, and then we decide who's going to be the candidate and create the smoke-filled room and all the things.
Maybe flip a coin or two.
To flip the coins, to see who can hold their breath the longest, whatever we decide,
Sure.
and then of course that person becomes our candidate. This, of course, led to a lot of infighting and also a lot of money changing hands and things like this in the Tammany Hall days. So states, cities, localities got involved in this, and they came up with the primary process. The primary process was to bring sunlight into this selecting the candidates. And these were closed primaries. So the first primaries were closed primaries. So only registered Republicans could vote for registered Republicans. Only registered Democrats could vote for registered Democrats. Now, like here, we have an open primary. Or if you're unenrolled, as long as you're not enrolled as a Democrat, you can pull a ballot and vote for the Republicans. And the reverse is true as well. And the entire idea is to give the broadest cross-section of the populace input into the process. Well, frankly, I feel that there is, value in parties, limited, but that limit should be to the members, and members should be the ones who vote. And it's easy enough for you to change your voting affiliation 20 days or something before the election.
Yeah.
And be all in order and come and say, hey, I was a Democrat last year, I'm a Republican this year, and I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. And we know 20,000 people in our Commonwealth did that. We're not sure they all voted for Donald Trump, but we know that they
Right.
they changed their affiliation specifically at this time. I'm in favor of the closed primary because I really do feel that there should be some reciprocity. There should be some commitment to the party from the voter. Now, I understand that what you're talking about, you want to have an open system where people have the choices. Other countries, they don't even really have parties. They have basically ranked voting. And it changes the process and it gets more complicated. But truly, where exactly do you feel that we would be better served? I think by having more people more involved in politics, and I think pulling them into the party process would do that. I think that's where we should be headed.
I mean, I understand it. I get it. I get what you're saying, and it's a good education on it, right? It is. Here's my feeling. My feeling is, Matt, that what happens to us is we get involved with these parties.
Sure.
And as we get involved with these parties, we get involved with money.
Oh, yeah.
Money is the absolute root of all evil in politics, as far as I'm concerned.
It's the mother's milk of politics.
I mean,
It's-
yeah, it's just we have to get. So I guess where I'm coming from is, if you didn't have them, or if they weren't in charge of the money, maybe is a better way to put it. Would we not or be better off? I don't know. To me, it seems like we're in a two-party system where, a third party comes out, it only guarantees one of the two parties gets in. They don't ever win.
Yeah.
They only hurt if Sanders goes third party, he's going to hurt Hillary.
Yeah.
If Cruz goes third party and Trump's the nominee, it's going to hurt Trump.
Yeah.
So what does it do for me in Northbridge, Massachusetts? What does the party do for me? It seems to me like they're money machines, and I'll learn a lot about them as I endeavor in.
Well, when you're in a town committee, you're kind of at the top of the party chain. As a part of the town committee, you can do basically anything a state committee can do or the national committee can do in the Republican Party. So if you want to raise money and donate to, Allen West, not here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you guys can do that. Mm-hmm. You can have, however you want to organize your group. You have a lot of freedom, and the state committee is supposed to help you interact with the national committee and the state committee, and there's a lot of things here. But at the same token, you guys can do what you want. Paul Farrow at the city of Marlborough can tell you a little bit about how you're constituted and what you can do. He's been doing things like that here in our Commonwealth, for good or for ill, But yeah, because heretofore it was believed that money in politics was required, and it is required, to get the message out. You needed to be able to buy a full-page ad in the New York Times, and that cost $1 billion, or
it
you're
ain't
not going
free,
to be
right?
president.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're right.
But at the same token, I feel that it's changing because of places like this, because of the Freedom Network, because of the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, these different avenues. The message can get out under the radar. People are able to coordinate through the internet. And money may not change hands because it's not being printed, but still there's value being traded. Just like there'd be volunteers who would show up who wouldn't get paid, who would hold a sign on a street corner. There are people who volunteer, sometimes not even coordinated, but they just to say, I like Donald Trump. I'm going to write Trump, 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 Trump on the internet every day for an hour every day. That's what I'm going to do to donate to his campaign. The whole system of money, the whole idea of donations, the whole idea is very rigid, very much will break down in this new paradigm. We really don't know how to do this, and frankly, we really shouldn't be regulating it. Do we regulate when you talk with your neighbors at the bus stop in the morning?
Yeah, that I hear. I think it's that whatever we do is got to be from us.
Yes.
Can't be from them. It's
Yeah.
got to be from us. I would like to see a more, I guess, maybe it's the way that it goes. What turned me off so much this year was how my guy was Rand Paul.
Oh,
I'm a
sure.
lost soul
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
you know.
I'm a lost soul because who is the Randish, Paulish guy that's up there? To me, he was the perfect example of what we needed to kind of slap us back to where we should be.
Yeah, and I greatly sympathize. I'm a big Rand Paul supporter. I've supported his father before as well. The party should be, and again, the Worcester Tea Party is a educational organization. Our goal is to help people understand these things that get talked about and we don't understand them. They use the word pundit. Pundit was a guide through the mountains in the Himalayas, and for some reason we've decided that we're going to use the word pundit to mean expert, to help us come through things. So pundit, it's an arcane term, but we only use it about politics. Well, it's almost like it's designed to make it more confusing.
It is a confusing system. It is, not to
Oh,
interrupt you,
yeah,
but it's
no.
so confusing. I mean, I put hours into trying to understand things that I drive everybody crazy. My friends, my wife, they get off their phone, get off of Facebook, get off the internet, get off, right? But with all that time spent, I find myself confused a lot and reaching out to people like yourself or others. What does this mean? What does that mean? And I'm not afraid to ask the questions. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. What we don't know, we should query. So I think that the mission to be a place of information, that's fantastic, and that's why I think a lot of people do like the Tea Party. When we had spoke before about, I mean, I will never forget what the media did to the Tea Party with that and we all probably remember it. How disgusting and ridiculous was that to purposely taking things and manipulating them to look like something else and calling it news.
Yes.
I mean, you guys have, unfortunately, you got a bad rap because you're conservative, and that's the problem. You can't be conservative.
No, and that's the original sin of this whole thing, where they talk about money in politics, and I would say that money in politics, as much as shadowy billionaires are doing whatever it is they're doing, is nothing compared to the advantages given to liberal causes because of media bias.
Yeah.
I think media bias explains way more than money in politics. Media bias and the bias of institutions of higher learning. You get a professor and you bring him up here and you put him up and you say, well, Professor Smith, what do you think? And he's going to have liberal talking points to support that we need a $20 an hour minimum wage or everybody should drive a Prius or whatever it is that he's talking about. And he's got accreditations and he's got a bully pulpit and he's taken as gospel truth, and it's really just one man's opinion, and
yes.
we can in a intellectual way poke holes in it, but it's never given that way.
No, you know what? I mean, it's 110%. And it's funny. I do a lot of talking with a lot of different people. And one thing I always find interesting, and I say this to Sanders people all the time, look, you guys have this warped sense of kind of what reality is in a capitalist free market economy, in a representative republic like America, with a constitution and the way it's set up. Let me frame it like this. I would say to that professor, you've got your students in your class. Now imagine this quick scenario, right? You've got your students in the class, and everybody's in the class, and they get all different grades.
Yeah.
And some fail, and some get A's, and some get B's, some get C's, and some get D's. So the professor stands up, and the professor says, you know what? He says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take from the A's and give to the F's and to the D's, and we're going to take from the B's and give to the C's, and we're going to make everybody a C+.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to strive for mediocrity. Everybody's going to be a C+, right? Would you go for that? And every one of these kids in college that's voting for Sanders says, no, what are you going to get off? Why would you want my grade? Well, why do you want my money? Okay? I mean, to me, it's the same exact thing. When you turn the tables on the left and you say, well, wait a minute. If you believe this, then can we do this? It's always, no. Why would we do that? That could affect me.
Yeah.
Right? The Koch brothers get talked about, but who knows the name of the huge big donors?
Well,
on you do what I do, but who knows the names of the big donors on the left that pump tons of cash into these folks? Look at the Sanders situation. Here's a guy that's not collecting big bucks from corporations.
Sure.
And from his own foundations and that kind of stuff, right? His average...
Well, his average is $23 a ticket. But even with that, I mean, there are large donations that he's gotten from hedge fund managers.
Yes.
These are the people who are supposed to
in the
be...
paper.
And this is where it all breaks down, because there are leftists who are fabulously wealthy. And
Yes. Look at Hollywood.
let us not kid ourselves. It is not the downtrodden poor who are running these campaigns and doing these things. They are supported by some of the richest people in our society. Now, we can discuss the whole socialist ethos and all of this stuff, and I think it really does break down, and it does create mediocrity, because once you do that, once you take all from the A's and give all to the F's, well, then suddenly the society starts to decline because nobody puts out A effort. And you never have people who are, pushing the boundaries of science and art and music and athleticism, or, except for perhaps the tiniest of percentages, and you never get the results that we have here in America. America is a fabulously wealthy country because we have 300 million Americans, most of which have a dream that they're pursuing every minute, trying to be the best they can be. Not because we came to a country that was on top of a pot of gold. We got deserts, we got swamps, we got places you can't grow corn. But somehow we turned this into the richest nation on the world.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Jenny emailed in with nothing else but "I love Matt." so you got a fan out there.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Jenny.
You know, we just have we don't have a whole ton of time. We got a few minutes left. I like Cruz when it comes to politics.
Sure.
I like his politics, right? I do. I mean, the guy he's tested and true. He has a record.
Sure.
He has the ability to connect with people. I thought he was probably someone I was really look. I call people that are blind, that follow anybody, crazy. You should always challenge. You're never going to agree with anyone 100%. If you want the perfect candidate, go run. But I'm not a trumpet, as I like to call him.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. I don't hate the guy. I don't think he's what the media really builds him up to be.
No.
But at the same time, probably not my first choice.
Yeah.
My issue with Cruz is I get nervous when people get too into the religious aspects. And when I watch them run to the evangelical vote, if you will,
Sure.
that I think Trump won anyway. Did he not?
Yeah, there's no demographic currently that Trump has not won. One of the things that is most perplexing to our leftist friends is that among the college educated, he's winning. And remember that when you look at this, we're talking about an expanding Republican Party and a contracting Democratic Party at this moment. So more college educated people are deciding to pull a ballot and vote for Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, even though Bernie Sanders is promising free college.
Right, and you won't hear that. You won't hear that. When I hear Cruz say he's going to start his day on his knees, he's going to try to figure out what these things for a guy like me, right? That if I had my druthers, what I want to do, and people say, well, what are you into? What do you believe politically? I say the Constitution. That's what I believe, and he is by far the guy standing now, anyway, that would pay homage, if you will, to the Constitution. He has, and he's got a good record on it. But I'm not looking for a minister. I'm not looking for a rabbi. I'm not looking for a priest. I'm looking for a president. And it makes me nervous when we start to inject this, and I know I get controversial, but that's life. But you look around this world, places that are run by religion, okay, are usually hypocritical. They can be brutal. Even the Pope is attacking Trump because he wants to build a wall. He lives behind a wall. Yeah. I mean, it seems to me that that's what gets me nervous about him. And that's where I had a real difficult time yesterday, because I wanted to vote for him, but I don't want to hear about his conversations with Jesus. Personally, I don't care.
I am not a co-religionist with Senator Cruz. I'm Catholic, so I will tell you that in fact he and I probably have several considerable differences on this. Now, at the same token, that does not prevent me from appreciating his jurisprudence. He has argued in front of the Supreme Court more often and more successfully than any other living American, and that's something that I think is often lost. I do feel that his campaign there have been several mistakes, not only dirty tricks that he tried or things of this nature, but also, he's trying to connect with a broader group of people than ever before, and I don't think he's doing a very good job of it inherently. I think that he's trying to be a little more of a common man, and he everything's recorded, and sometimes what gets recorded isn't ready for prime time.
You're right. Paul just checking in. loves the show, loves the show, loves Matt. I just lost it. Loves the show, loves Matt. Get him on more often. We're trying, actually. We're trying. Paul, you don't even know what I'm trying to do. Thank you for the emails, though. But I think you hit on something. Look, Cruz wins it, I'm going to vote for Cruz.
Oh, sure.
Trump wins it, guys, I'm going to vote for Trump. Okay, I'm not going to pull any real punches here. I mean, I'm not voting for Sanders, and I'm not voting for Hillary ever. That will never happen. Never in a million years. And if the two of them were running and they were the only two, I would have to vote for Sanders. I just couldn't, in good conscience, decide that I was going to vote for Hillary Clinton. What are people thinking? In this town alone, what are you thinking in this town? 800 people. When I got more votes than Hillary did, by the way. 802 people went out, right? 802 people from our town went out and voted for Hillary. Why?
Because I honestly think it's because they don't have this channel. I think it's Charter Cable has screwed them up by not letting them have this program.
They may have screwed them up. Are we on the air? Now, Trump did, in our town here, get 943 votes to Cruz's 263. So there was a good-sized difference there. But I'll tell you that if I go down here, Rubio, it gets 400 and just a little over 400 votes. What are you thinking about Rubio?
Well, first off, I have to tell you that I've actually met Rubio.
Okay.
We had an initiative
Seems like a nice guy.
We had an initiative we pursued to try to reverse the Roberts decision, basically the decision that allowed Obamacare. And we wanted to make a statement and educate people on this. And basically, we chose to try to amend the Constitution with what we referred to as the right to refuse amendment. That the government should not be able to tax you into doing something. Today it's this, tomorrow it could be saying, well, you have to get married and have kids, and if you don't get married and have kids, we're going to charge you $10,000.
Yeah, you're not contributing properly to the society.
Exactly.
We'll have to assess you for that.
So we shopped around, and of course the person who introduced it into Congress stood up in the well and did it was Marco Rubio. He was behind it. He still has that as his plank on how he's going to fix Obamacare. He's going to not just dismantle it, but he is going to enact it as a law. It should be a changing in the Constitution to really repeal it. Mm-hmm. But he is going to enact it as a law as part of his program. Now, granted, this is one issue, and there are other issues, and there are other decisions he has made where he has been incorrect. First person in the world to say that. But it does show that he has a loyalty to his own ideas and his own principles, because he still has that in as part of his campaign.
Yeah, and like I say, to me, he's the Bud Light.
True.
He's not someone that I would vote for. Probably 80% of my issue with him is on immigration. But that's going to have to be a topic for another day. We're getting close. We got about a minute before they're going to throw us out of here. We'll make room for 3 and 11. Great program. I know Harry has got to be. And let me tell you something.
Is that going to be 3 at 191 now?
And they have to figure that out. I don't know. Maybe they're waiting to see what's going to happen with Charter. I don't know. But I know Paul's going to be very excited that Trump won, and Trump did win. He won big. Like you say, he's won everywhere, every cross-section, all the way around. I've only got a few seconds. I just want to close the show out. But let me get your quick prediction. Who's the next president going to be?
I think it's going to be Trump right now.
You think it'll be Trump? You think he beats the other two, either one?
I think he beats everybody.
All right. I want to thank you so much for coming on the program. Folks, the Freedom Network is all about one thing. It's about you, your voice. Get your emails in, a couple popping in. I'll get back to you on them. We'll try to get Matt out here. And I want to let you guys give real quick, in 10 seconds, I'll give you the last word. Put your website out there so people can get to you.
You can contact me directly at matt@worcesterteaparty.com. That's Matt with 2 T's, worcesterteaparty.com. Our website is worcesterteaparty.com. We have our calendar there. We have some of my writings, some of the events. Facebook, we put up a lot of the stuff that we're doing on Facebook page, Worcester Tea Party.
Okay, so you got it. You need anything else, get to me. If you didn't get all that info, email me. Folks, we love you. It's the Freedom Network. We'll be back next week. Thanks.